Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to another Fix It video. This time it's a trying to fix video, and I feel all official. Look, I have a blue mat. It is a very tiny blue mat, but I have a blue mat. It was the cheapest thing you could buy on AliExpress, so I feel more professional now. What we have here is actually a job lot from eBay of 4 graphing calculators that I happened to get a hold of. I think it's 2 TI-83 pluses, I believe, or the TI-86, TI-83 plus, TI-83 plus with some screen issues, as well as a TI-85. And now I am very familiar with the TI series. I've used all of these in one way, shape, or form. Actually, right over here this is my TI-83 plus that I've had since I went to college. I mean, I used a TI-82 in school that they had given us and let us use for the year. They did upgrade to TI-83 pluses my senior year, so I got to use one at school. And then my senior year, or my freshman year at college, I purchased a TI-83 plus because that was the gold standard at the time of graphing calculators that you were allowed to use on everything. Even though the 85s and the 86s did exist then, they did more functionality that they didn't allow for in most tests and stuff that you took. So the 83 plus was like the highest one you could go to. I don't know what the gold standard is now for calculators that kids use. I think it's like, I looked online, like the 84 CE or something like that. It's a pretty colored screen and everything. But either way, this is mine. As far as I know, it still works. I tried to turn it on. I just pulled it out. I found it in my back room the other day. It doesn't turn on, but I think it's because the batteries are dead. We're actually going to test this one first. I got some batteries here. I got these off of eBay in a job lot that was, doesn't even have all the batteries in there. And look, this one is all corroded to hell. Well, we're not going to deal with mine for now. We're just going to take out these old corroded, nasty batteries and get them out of the way. You know what? Corrosion in there is not bad. Let's just pop these new ones in and see what we're looking at, to see if I have a good working machine to use if I test with, if I have to. But I bought these for, I think all 4 of them were $15 with free shipping, if I recall. I don't really have a big need for these, but I thought it'd be fun. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Yes, everything is working on mine still, and I programs. Oh, this brings me back. Look, programs. I've got, program A. Oh, that one. That was a program. This is where you put all your programs in. Everything ends up getting named A as something because it was, you wanted it at the top of the list for for that particular class that you were taking. Oh my God, my fields class. That didn't even have much in it. Oh, that's just running the fields. But I'd have to edit the programs to see what's in it. What's an A? A is A actually looks like it does something, but either way, we're not here. We're not here for my old TI-83 experience. We are here to find out about these ones that I bought as not working for parts or repair. So we will see. One thing I was excited about was that there was 2 TI-83 pluses in here, these 2 right here, and I saw one had a bad screen in the listing, like the seller had pictures of everything. One had the bad screen, and this one here, and this one here did not, and I figured, hey, either way, I can probably do something with these 2. If something's functional in there, I can probably swap the screen over. I actually just was doing research right before I started recording this video, and came across the iFixit guide for how to break these down. And it actually says that the screens are married to the motherboard. So if you replace one, you have to replace both. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. That kind of takes that out the window. But we're going to start with the 83s and see if we can figure out what is going on with them. So first off, let's start with batteries. Let's see if we know these work because they worked in my 83 next to me just a second ago. And let's see what even happens. Oh, interesting. So some garbly-gook on the screen. That is not what I expected to see. It's just a random character. Are the characters, if I put different batteries, or can I just turn it off? What is off on the second? Oh, that does. So second, that turns it off. On brings it back on, and it's different gobbledygook, actually. Interesting. I don't know if behind the scenes it just turned off on me. It just completely turned off on me. That's weird. Make sure the batteries are in. Oh, okay. So now I don't have power, but I did a minute ago. These are brand new batteries. That's very strange. Well, we know the fault, or we know what the experience is with this one. Let's now look at this next one. This one has the bad screen, so I'm having less confidence about even being able to see anything on this one. I mean, you could actually see... You can see this changing ever so slightly. And that's going to be kind of annoying because if the screen truly is married to the motherboard that's in here, my whole plan was to swap the screen, especially after just seeing this do what it did. I was thinking, man, if that screen could swap over, I could swap it over. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do much with this one if the screens really are married because, yeah, just because I don't know what else you could possibly do if they're married. So we're going to put this one to the side, and it'll be kind of like something we'll come back to if we need to. That's probably not the right back. That color's off. Oh, that color looks off too. Oh well. I'll put parts of this stuff together until I get something that looks pretty. But let's just get into this. I can't reach down there with that screwdriver. Too big. This doesn't really have very tiny Phillips. I don't know if that actually started unscrewing this or not. If it didn't, I'm going to have to go procure a different screwdriver. They actually look like they might be Torx bits. And I thought the guide had said that they were Phillips. Hold on a sec, let me get a flashlight out and see if I can. Those are definitely Torx bits. I do not have a long-handled Torx bit because my good Torx bits that I have aren't going to fit down that far. We can find out what size it is from these top ones, though. I think these top ones aren't recessed as far. It's not the 3. Looks like it's bigger than a 5. There it is. It's a 6. So let's put the 6 out, but this will not fit far enough down here or in this one. Only in this one. Only this top one. I don't have long forks. What am I going to do about that? Let me see if any of these flatheads. Not that one. That might fit it okay. Oh yes, this flathead will get in there. Perfect. So the forks are enough that flathead both into them to get the right size and 2 the right flathead fits right straight across it, so that might save me a lot of head. And if you're wondering why I couldn't use the Torx bit that I used on these ones, it's these screws are deeper. The bottom and the middle ones are deeper than the top ones, and this does not get down there far enough. So we've done that, but we do have to open up this battery cover, which this is probably just a, yeah, this is just a Phillips, because this is for the spare battery that goes in these to hold like the clock. Let's see if we can get this out of here. That out. There's a spring. Oh, there's not a spring. I mean, there is a spring, but I thought the spring came out. And I thought that there was a screw under here, but maybe not. So, let's slowly, gently get this apart. Ooh. There we go. There we go. So, is this a screen issue? Interesting. Oh no, so some of the screws I took out. Oh, now they've switched over to Phillips screws in here, which is interesting. And they're much smaller Phillips screwdrivers than that. That'll fit. So they switched to Phillips on the inside. Oops. And there's only 2 of them being held on here. So it looks like the outer case held on to this screw, this screw, this screw, and this screw. Well, actually, these 2 are the ones that went through this metal shield. The other 2 are down here on the very bottom. They're on the inside of the circuit board, whereas there's other screws that hold on this metal shield, whatever this metal shield is. What are you? Are you making a connection to something? Is this like a giant ground plane? Oh, you know what? There's 2 boards in here. Maybe when they said the screen and the board are together, they didn't mean the main board, which is how I took it. Maybe it's a screen driver board that it has to go with. So I might still be able to swap some things around. Is this just held on with like tape? How does that connect? And, okay, so there's the screen. The ribbons. Oh man, it looks like I'm gonna get this whole thing out of here. I'm afraid to. Oh, that was like glued down, and it was very confusing to me because it looks like it makes contact with the ground planes here, and maybe runs a ground up because it is metallic. So I would assume it's. I mean, let's find out. Yeah, it's got continuity to it, so it's got to be running like a ground plane up. Because, yeah, the metal folds down over here, so these folded over points make contact with this and this. And then there's folded over points up here, which would be the screw holes here and here. So is that what's getting ground to the board? No, it's already grounded. I don't understand that personally, but okay, whatever. We're going to move on, and I'm going to unscrew these the rest of the way. Let's go to this guy. This screwdriver is smaller. There's some more screws here. I'm just trying to get this all separated so I can see what it all actually, how it all works together. I think once I get these last 2 screws out, that this whole circuit board will lift out of the case. Okay. Yes, there we go. And that brings us down to, this is the keypad here. So if I look at the other side, yeah, this is just all the key presses. And this is the part that's interesting me, is how maybe that's what they meant when they said they were married to each other, is that you can't take this ribbon cable off in any easy way to do any work on this thing. I'll be honest, I thought something like this was going to be a lot easier of a job, and being able to swap over screens and things like that when I had originally purchased this. But that being said, let's just examine this board. I'll zoom in on it for you in case you want to see it a little bit closer. Let's start looking at this board and examining it for anything that looks maybe out of sorts. But the problem is, I'm thinking that this is a display issue, considering the fact that it turned on, but it had a garbled screen. I mean, it could be getting incorrect voltages somewhere, and therefore it's not sending the right signals to or out of the main chips that run this thing, so it's putting garbled messages on the screen. But it also could be that one of these main chips is bad. I mean, you used to be able to flash these things with like special firmware to play games and things like that. Maybe somebody attempted that. Oh, this is interesting. If you look up in this area here, I don't know how well you can see if I can't zoom in any farther. There's some solder that looks much more freshly done, or it's very dirty. Almost as if there's been work done in here. You can see it shining on the camera right there. But let's see if yeah, I can trace a lot of these to, like, if I went to this trace, should go to here, I believe. Oh, that goes somewhere up there. The second trace does look like it goes down to here, so yeah, the second trace goes to there. The third trace has work done on it. That goes all the way up there. Fourth trace, fifth trace, 6, 7. That does look like it still just loops around. It's really hard to follow this thing. Hold on. So what this one was. This one's there. This one. Oh, that's there. Oh, that is there, okay. So here goes somewhere. That next one goes to there, okay. So that doesn't go to the same place. Okay, but either way, what I was testing there is that it's not a one-to-one that of these go to here, because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 of these, and there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 20 on this, just on this side. But these ones that have shininess on them were the ones I thought were a little suspect, but they seem to be okay making the connections that they're supposed to make. I'm just going to scan around the board and see if I can see anything that looks odd. Well, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to solder some wires onto here. That's just the battery plus and minus terminals, and just solder them onto somewhere in these connections so that I can connect the batteries to it, but leave myself a little bit of room. This is my positive side. I'll leave myself a little bit of room to actually be able to still test some voltages and stuff. Well, isn't this interesting and unfortunate timing for the camera battery to die, because it took me so long to just get these wires like situated into place. I put the batteries in, I shorted the power button down here with the screwdriver, and look what came up. It says RAM cleared, TI, and then it's some garbled stuff. Ooh. Oh, interesting. And then it just turned off on me again. Ah, so remember, it was not staying on before either. Take the battery out again. And then put it in. What would cause it to... And now it doesn't want to come on again. I think it'll clear the RAM maybe when you don't have this battery in, the backup battery. But what would cause it to just turn back off? Let's put this on DC voltage and trace. Let's make sure we're getting DC voltage here where I've 5.15 volts. We got voltage to there. Flip this screen so I can see it in case something happens. Obviously we should have voltage to this side of the fuse, voltage past the fuse. Okay.
At this point here, I just started kind of going around the board with my multimeter, trying to see if there was any obviously damaged components or anything that looked like it was unsoldered or loose, or just checking voltages all around here. So I'm fast forwarding through this part because you'll see it's just very tedious work going around with a multimeter, and then we will rejoin when I have more to say.
Okay, so I've gone through and checked this board for anything that looked out of the ordinary. Any shorts on anything connected to ground that wasn't supposed to be, any obviously damaged components, and I'm not finding anything. The fact that I'm getting a garbled display on the screen really does lead me to believe that this cable, this ribbon cable, is the issue. And I did a little bit of research, and apparently that's a really common issue on these. And these are not, you can't just fix them. There's no connector. It's like glued into place. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do next is remove this cable completely and just jumper it with some wires across and see how that actually does to see if it fixes the problem. I've seen a lot of success with this online for people to do this when they have the screen garbled issue. My main concern is the fact that it's turning on and then turning off after an arbitrary amount of time, if it turns on at all. I thought maybe I put rechargeable batteries in it in the first place what I got, and they were brand new and they were supposed to come fully charged. So I thought maybe they didn't, so I threw them on the charger and it shows that they're low. So I've got some non-rechargeable batteries, but I just tested this off camera and it did a very similar thing. Let's see. So this is the power button right here. So if I put batteries in, if it's going to work, because it sometimes doesn't. If you short across this, something came up on the screen and then it went away. It's like arbitrarily turning off, and I'm not understanding why. And that does make me concerned that there's something else going on this board that I'm missing, and that if I just fix the screen, I'm still going to run into this issue where it just turns off. It's also possible, if you look at these traces on this, let's zoom in on this ribbon cable I'm talking about here. There you go. You can see it. There's, I think it's 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 15 smaller joints right here, and there's two larger ones over here. These two larger ones are most likely for power to the screen. Maybe there's where it's having a problem is it's actually like these are where the problems lie, is somewhere in these power pins, and that's why the screen's turning off. It's turning on for a minute, but then something's not connecting right. So I'm going to go through anyway and just take this thing off, clean it up, and see if I can put some wire across it. I'm going to use just a piece of Ethernet cord that's right here. I have a box of 1,000 feet of Ethernet wire, just because I figure if I pull the strands out of here, they'll be small enough, and they're solid core versus all I really have is stranded core, which is going to be really hard to put on tall spaces like this. So I'm going to get some of these, get them prepared, take this thing off, and see what we can come up with here. But let me first, I don't really have any scissors, see if I can easily pull this thing apart so we can understand what it looks like. And if this doesn't work, or I still have the same problem with it turning off, I am wondering if the calculator that has the screen that's obviously broken on it, it seems to turn on. If I can move this whole screen, if I could take this screen and solder it into there. I know I had read that the screen and the motherboard are married, but I still don't understand if they meant married because it's glued on. Did they mean married to this, like this screen is married to this circuit board right here, or do they really mean it's married, this whole contraption is married to this board down here? That I don't know. So let me see if we can, I don't know how to actually remove this very easily. Everything I've read, they just like cut it, and they're happy with that. I was trying to just peel it back, but I think I'm going to end up cutting it just the same. Oh, wait, there we go. There we go. Started getting it to peel. There we go. Okay, that peeled off. Did that obviously reveal anything? No, I mean, nothing obvious. There is a thin piece of tape across this as well that I'm going to have to take care of. But there we go. That is disconnected. That is disconnected. So the boards are disconnected. And as far as I understand, I gotta either scrape away at this. I don't want to damage the pads when I do this. I wonder if rubbing alcohol will take this off at all. Try to get the battery so they're not connected anymore over there. And some rubbing alcohol on a toothbrush and just see if... Probably be easier if it wasn't a toothbrush, more of a fiberglass pen, but I don't have one of those. Well, let me just work on scraping this thing clean. I might even just be able to use solder on it and have the solder act as a an ability to just burn right through this stuff. But all I really have to do is, well, I guess I don't need to take that black piece off. Just need to get the pins cleaned up enough. Yeah, just see what happens with the soldering iron. So I have to tin up the pads on both of these boards anyway. So let's see how this goes. You guys not super close together? Very good. Pretty good. Yeah, all of them are actually pretty good. I'll show you another. So we do the same over here. Let's just melt this first. All right. Let's stick with that for a minute and let me prepare some wire. I don't need them to be terribly long, but I need to see if that'll work. I'll use some bigger ones for the power. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I guess I didn't hit the record button, but as you can see, I've stripped a bunch of these wires down from the Ethernet cable. I had to get some more because I kept ripping the sheathing right off, and I've started going down and seeing if I can attach them to the pads that I've prepared. It's going okay with a couple so far, but I fear I might have to actually tin all these wires up as well. Yeah, because it's not getting a good enough connection. So let me see if I can work on doing that. Okay, went and cleaned up these, made them look prettier, and I tinned all of these ends as well. Hope that this is going to make this a little bit easier. So these things are not very flexible, and I did not make them all the same length as can be seen, which is going to be a problem. Yeah, that is going to be a problem. Oh, okay. Sometimes the smallest pieces take the longest time. So I got all the wire to length now. Let's see if I can get these soldered on without a problem. All right. All connections made on one board. Now, will I be able to repeat that on the other board easily, or is this going to be very, very difficult? Time will tell. Hopefully these are strong connections. I can kind of bend things out of the way, except for things like that. I will go through and redo that afterwards. It might actually be easier. It might have been easier if I just did one at a time on each side, because yeah, a couple of these are going to be popping off as I try to maneuver them. So I'll leave the power until later, until the end, but you know what? I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, news. I finally got these things actually all connected, and I ended up going with the strategy where I put them on this way on this board so I can have a loop because then I wouldn't need the exact right length to sit into the case or anything. I could actually like do some adjustments. That was my thought. Unfortunately, what we end up with is, see if I can show you the screen. A screen that just has black pixels. I actually manipulated some of these wires and got it to have some garbled text on it, but nothing that seemed actually very responsive to any button presses or anything. So I, at this point, don't know if it's a fault with the board or if it's just a fault with the soldering job. And actually, these wires aren't going to work very well. They're very rigid. They were hard to put on. I would try to put one on, and then one next to it would like ping off. If I manipulate the screen at all, the solder joints just break free. So before I give up on this one, what I'm going to do is go with a different strategy of using a wire that I just had placed around here somewhere just to get it out of the way to start this video. And I don't know where I put it. Oh, there it is. It's still in my helping hands over here. So what this is an IDE connector. Unfortunately, I only had the one that had like, what is it, 72 pins, I believe it is, versus the smaller version. And I wanted the smaller version, but this is the only one I had lying around. But I've separated out 15 individual strands of wires to use for the 15 points besides the power that go to the board. These are a lot more flexible. I put some duct tape around the middle, or some electrical tape around the middle, just so I could separate them out and not actually peel it all the way to have a nice spot that was in the middle. I'm probably going to take that off before I start to solder this on. But I'm going to go through and try to solder this on here and then loop it up to the board. This is meant to be more flexible. Probably won't run into as many problems. And despite this, even this Ethernet cord, it's almost the exact same size as the pads that go on here. I did check everything for shorts and make sure I didn't have any shorts between them. It seems like it's okay, but I can't guarantee that because it's just been so finicky and so troublesome, and it's very difficult to, like, where I'd have to put this is I have to bend it into place like this. Ooh, I'm surprised. Actually, none of these pinged off that time. I've had to re-solder these multiple times. So I'm just going to take these off, try to put this on in its place instead, and see if we have any better luck there. I probably won't record this because it's just very tedious and takes a long time. So it takes a lot longer than people would think. So hopefully when you come back, it'll be all together. All right, and that went on way easier than doing it the other way, so I would definitely suggest using this method, but that's pending it works. If you'll notice, I put some electric tape here just to hold it down so I wouldn't lose any connections. And if you notice, there's the nice ribbon cable. I did replace those two big or smaller gauge cables, I guess, bigger cables, with these ones because I feel they'll handle enough current for the screen, and those big ones were just too unwieldy. So I did reuse two of my connections from before, or two of my wires from before. And if you'll see, this one is not within the ribbon cable. It's pin number 14 out of 15. It's because I had ripped the trace off of the main board here, but there was a nice little vial right behind it that I connected to, but I had just have it separated out to see. Now, I haven't tested this thing at all yet, so let's carefully turn this over and see what happens now when I put batteries in. Nothing, which is good in theory because I need to short this one, which is the power button, to hope I get something, and I get nothing. You know, I was going to say you'd never believe this, but you probably will because you probably watched me do it. When I originally had rehooked these up, I hooked them up backwards. I had the positive going to the negative and the negative going to the positive, so no wonder juice wasn't flowing through the board. And it's funny because I took my voltmeter and I checked it across there, and it did register as negative, and I was like, in my mind, like, oh, I just have these the wrong way. But I didn't, and I didn't even think to double check that. I just happened to glance at it and look at it, and that's what happened. So now that we've done this, now that I fixed that problem, let's put the batteries back in and see if we get anything on the screen. That would explain why I wasn't getting any power up to the LCD. Here we go, last battery. I think it turns on automatically. Okay, maybe it does not turn on automatically. So now let's power it. Still nothing though. Still nothing. Can you believe that? My camera battery died at the moment of truth. But I did put the batteries in, and look, the screen looks great. Except it says, waiting, please install calculator software now. What calculator software? What? I had a TI-83 for years. I never saw something like this. What if I just push this down so you guys can see the screen a little bit better? I still don't know if it's coming through at that angle. Yeah, you can see it. Let's do that again. Okay, now we just have weird blocks. What does that mean? Okay, I thought I hit the power button. I don't know what just happened. Okay, I hit power, and I now come to just a black screen with some dots on it. Okay. The screen was looking nice. What happened? What happened? What happens if I do that? So I don't even need to like put it on. I just need to hold it down. I'm just curious to see if this is going to do anything different. It shouldn't. Well, we're back to the calculator software install screen. Please install calculator software now. Let me go research what this is. And if worse comes to worse, it looks like the display is working fine. Which gives me hope that, you know, this one right here, this screen is obviously bad. I still have to figure out this whole married to the board thing to find out what that's talking about. And I couldn't find that article where I had read that at either after looking it up afterwards. Maybe I can just take this, get rid of this board, put this screen into, and replace this screen with it, and see if it has a functioning calculator or if they really are like connected together, if I can't figure out what this error is. But waiting, please install calculator software. I'll be back. Okay, so I have information. That message means the operating system is corrupted. There is a way to restore it, which is good, but it requires you to have either the TI cable that connects to your computer or a functional TI-83 calculator with the same operating system and the direct link cable between the two. Problem is I don't have either of those. The other problem is the message seems to change. It goes to that message sometimes. It goes to a blank screen sometimes. It goes to, I had a blinking cursor for a while and I was actually excited because I thought it was going to start working, but it was like really rapidly blinking and none of the button presses did anything. So I have a feeling there's much more wrong to this than just that garbled screen. And whether that's the way it was when it got sold to me, and that which caused the fault and it was known, or whether it wasn't known at all because the screen was garbled, or whether it happened because of anything I did, I don't know. So I think at this point, all I'm gonna do, take this one apart, put the screen in here, and see what happens. We'll solve this married motherboard or this married screen thing. I can't say once and for all because who knows, it could do it wrong. But that's what we're gonna do next. Okay, well, first thing to note when I'm about to do this is these are not identical. They do have the same 15-pin, 2 wider connectors, but not only is this a different version of the board, you can tell by the chip arrangement here, but these screens up here also have different boards. You can see the capacitor bank. There's like 4 little guys in a row. Make sure that's focused in so you can see it, hopefully. But there's 4 little guys in a row up here, whereas this one has just 2 in a different orientation. Doesn't mean the signals are different. It just means we might run into some problems. The reason I don't mind doing this is because we know that this screen is bad. All right, got it soldered up. It only took about 10 minutes, except for apparently this one. Interesting. Hold on, let me fix that. There, fixed. That must have been my manipulation of the screen because I didn't even unsolder this side. I only unsoldered the board side. This time, instead of trying to like wire a bunch of things up like I did on this last one, I think I'm just going to try to put it back together and see. Sorry, I pulled the bottom prong out of here. And these have to line up in a specific way to hit these as well. So let me start with the actual case that this was from instead of the old case, which is right here, because these should be all lined up, and just try to set this thing in where it goes from this side. That's my problem. It needs to go into here. I want to make sure I didn't lose any of the keys. Okay. Yeah, if you turn that upside down, apparently the keys will fall out. So let's start working with these. There we go. There we go. There we go. The top's not snapping into place, but it's okay. As long as the screws hold it on. I don't know if it's that I broke some clips taking it apart or what. But before I finish, look at that. The buttons don't feel great. Yeah, the period doesn't work. 0. Well, period does work. Sorry, clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Period 0. Minus, plus, times, minus, times. Close parenthesis does not work. Tan does not work. Tan worked. It just took a while. Vars. Some of these buttons aren't working. Now, is that a problem with the board? Is it dirty? Let's just take it apart and clean it up. Okay, after a slight snafu with some of the keys as well, I actually ended up using the keyboard from the other one because I tried to blow some dust off of the keys and a couple of them went flying and I can't find them yet. But that's okay. We're gonna make do with that. I also was putting some screws in the wrong spot. I was supposed to put screws there and there. Those are there. The screen itself actually isn't held in by anything on the inside. It's held in by the screws that go through the outer case. So that was probably a reason why this thing wasn't fitting together properly. But hey, it needed a good clean anyway, even if that was probably more likely to be the cause of why my buttons weren't working right. Look at that. That snapped together so much nicer because I have the screws in the right spot. So let's on. RAM cleared. Okay, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, comma. Hey! Everything's working! And unfortunately, there's not going to be any programs in here because as you saw, the RAM was cleared because this battery is probably dead. So even if it, turning it off and turning it back on, it will not make that work. I will now just go through and put the screws in this thing and make sure that this still works. All right, so all the screws are back in this thing. It is sealed up nicely. It feels great. It still works perfectly fine. Look at that. It turns on. All the buttons seem to work without any issue. So no matter what, out of this lot that came with, remember 2 TI-83s, an 85 and an 86. I've only messed with the 2 TI-83s thus far, and one was just to steal the screen from because the screen was broken. So the board in that and the one with the broken screen worked fine. I don't know what's going on with the other one, which is still like tattered in pieces right here. This was mine, the one I showed at the beginning of the video. I wanted to prove that I didn't cheat. I don't have any batteries in it right now, but trust me, this is the one I showed at the beginning of the video working. This was my original one. I don't even know if I showed it working because the batteries in it were dead, and it had corrosion in it. But either way, I have 3 TI-83s scattered around this. This is the board from this one. This is just going to kind of go in a junk drawer because this one, I am pretty confident there must be something wrong with the board because we got the screen to work ungarbled and it was showing that error about reinstalling the OS, which would have been fine if I got a cable. It probably could have made everything work, except for it wasn't constantly that error. It was giving me that error sometimes. It was giving me a really weird blinking cursor. It would turn off randomly. There was more wrong to this, I think. So I'm happy to just have this thing be a donor to get this guy up and working again. The nice thing is we figured out that motherboards are not married to the LCD screen. This is even from a different version, and it works perfectly fine. Having to solder it in. The ribbon cable worked excellent to get that done. I would suggest doing that. I wish I would have saved so much time had I done that. I have a crazily messy workspace right now. If you can't tell, I have a couple projects going on, but this being one of them that just has wire shrapnel kind of everywhere going on because of this. But either way, it was it took me multiple hours to do this. Not because it would take a normal person that long, maybe, especially if they knew about TI-83s and how to fix them. I was doing this all for the first time and trying to experiment with some different things. So now I understand them a lot better and can go through and fix problems like that if they come up. We still have these other 2 items to go that I haven't even tested yet, though. So stay tuned for another video for that. I don't know if it's the same fault. Very well could be. It could just be a lot more screen things going on, but it could be an issue with the OS. I don't know. Haven't turned these on yet. You'll have to stay tuned for another video to see the TI-85 and the TI-86 and what will happen with them. Hope you enjoyed. I enjoy learning. I enjoyed doing this just to see what would happen, and I'm very glad to have a functioning product at the end of it. So thanks, and I will see you next time.